Welcome to the morning after week 13, end of the regular season edition, as we jump into the playoffs here, starting now. CFFL was pretty much set last week, but the Wiffle League was still up in the air, so we'll get to the action right away because we have a little longer show as it's a playoff preview. So up ahead, first of all, in the CFFL, we have the news here. The Price is Right took down the Horndogs 71.5 to 63.5 to end their season strongly. Bucs took down the Garbage Men 48.5 to 30 in a pretty low-scoring game. Bucs hold on to the 4 seed with that win. Bruisers and Minotaurs, the battle for the division there, the West I think, or South Division, I don't remember which one it is. Bruisers take them down. They also needed to outscore them by 30 points, I believe it was. Easily did that. So they will be the 3 seed. The Minotaurs are the 6. Remember, too, in the playoffs, the higher seeded team is always gets a half-point advantage in case of a tie, or 0.1%, not 0.5, 0.1 points in case of a tie. The only time that's not in effect is in the Super Bowl, and that'll also be bench points if there's a tie. The Gargoyles fall to the Badgers 72.5 to 49.5. If you're wondering what the asterisk is, when I was going through the records, I noticed that Gargoyles had 99 losses in their career going into this matchup, and now the Gargoyles have their historical 100th loss on the year. Congrats on a long history in the CFFL, Griff. Dingles fall to the Cardinals 97 to 35. And Team LBM falls to In Rodgers We Trust 63.5 to 57.5. May have been the biggest upset in terms of record-wise in league history. I'm not sure. Dragons fall to the Bombers. The Bombers needed that win to stay in playoff contention, 76.5 to 38.5. They needed either a Sasquatch or Kong loss to get in. Sasquatches, though, take down the Donkeys, 75.5 to 63 to clinch the division. And the Kongs fall to the Thrills, 69 to 40.5. The Bombers needed that win and to not be outscored by the Bullets by more than 7 points. And the Bullets did win this week, but they fall to the Cardinals, 60 to 55. Or they take down the Cardinals, 60 to 55. But the Bullets do fall short of the playoffs. Horndogs take down the Gunslingers to move to clinch the number 1 seed, 54.5 to 34. And the Woodies with another high-scoring week, but they fall to the Maulers, 91 to 75. Maulers at 10-2-1 will be the 4 seed, which stinks for them. They'll have to play this week. Let's get into the playoff preview right now. First of all, playoff preview in the Legends League. The Cardinals at the number 2 seed have been 26 and 11 in the playoffs with 8 championships in the CFFL. All these records are. Strengths, Breeze is the number 2 quarterback. My receivers are 1, 3, and 7 in the league with Hill, Devontae Adams, and Ebron, and a number 1 kicker in defense. Weaknesses, the flex right now. Cook is kind of hit or miss. Dalvin Cook, that is. And James Conner's injury, is it long-term, is it not? Number 1 seed is the Horndogs at 8-8 in the playoffs with a championship in 07 and 2014. Very good receivers with Julio, Hopkins, and Juju, 8, 6, and 10. And also the number 4 defense in Houston. He has a pretty solid all-around team. Most guys were in the teens. One weakness, I guess, could be Peterson a little bit, although he's kind of up and down. More a question about their running game, but otherwise he's been a pretty solid RB2. Tevin Coleman, though, has been struggling as the whole Falcons have, so that's kind of his weakness, but still a very solid team. Number 1 seed Horndogs. Matchup this week here, again, like I said, 0.1 points go to Maulers in case of a tie. The Dragons have been 2-6 in the playoffs and a Super Bowl appearance in 2004. Strengths, he's got the number 4 quarterback in Andrew Luck, number 5 receiver in Michael Thomas, and the number 3 defense in the Patriots. Weaknesses, the number 2 and 3 receiver on his team are Crabtree and Demaryius Thomas, so it's a little bit struggling there, but his running backs are quite good. Chubb and Spencer Ware now since Kareem Hunt is out. Gus Edwards, Josh Adams. He's got a lot of guys he can put in there that can do some good things. Maulers, 7-9 in the playoffs, winner of Super Bowl 1 and number 8. Strengths are Kamara, number 2 running back in the league who can go off at any time. Number 7 and number 11 receivers in OBJ and Diggs. And the number 2 kicker in Kaimi Fairbairn. Weaknesses is he's got one of the worst, well, not one of the worst, a lower rated defense on the Chargers. And his wide receiver 3 in flex is Kittle and Jared Cook. Also, he has Doug Martin. So there's some upside there. Over in the other matchup, we have the Sasquatches versus the Bombers. 10-9 Sasquatches, 1-4 in the Super Bowl. Strengths are Todd Gurley and Joe Mixon. Todd Gurley especially is very scary. Could go off at any point with 3 touchdowns. Weaknesses is the 13th quarterback in Rodgers. Maybe this is the week he comes out of it. Maybe not. Flex is questionable with Theo Riddick, TJ Yeldon, but looks like Fournette will be back this week, and then Graham Gano at kicker. The Bombers have been 1-3 in the Super Bowl. They made an appearance in 2002. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for him, he did make the playoffs. The only sad thing for me is that the Bombers and Bullets did not have the same amount of points this year, even though they did in their previous 8 years in the league, which is crazy. Anyway, number 3 quarterback in Ben, number 4 receiver in Antonio Brown, and then Harrison Butker at kicker. He's a wide receiver in 3 in flex, as Josh Reynolds and Henry, a little questionable, but they do have some touchdown upside, and they actually have some overall upside there. So that'll be some interesting matchups. Quickly, we'll go through the CFFL matchups here and see what's up there. Number 1 seed Cardinals, 26-11 in the playoffs, as I mentioned earlier. Strengths, Mahomes. My running backs are 6-8-14 in the league, and Connor, Zeke, and Mixon. And then the number 1 defense with the Bears. Weaknesses is Connor injury. How is he going to play out? If he's out for a while, that could be a problem for me. Okay backups and like Spencer Ware and that, but not the same players. Number 2, the historically hot this year team LBM, 5-1 in the playoffs in their career, and they won last year's title in 2018 and in 2011. Number 1 receiver in Tyreek Hill. Number 3, 7, and 15 running backs in Barkley, McCaffrey, and Jones. Weaknesses is number 2 and 3 receivers of Anthony Miller and Equiminius St. Brown, and then the number 14 quarterback, crazily, and Tom Brady is kind of a weakness right now. The Little Big Man had some of the best 3 picks this year. I think it was Saquon, McCaffrey, and Tyreek Hill, so that was tremendous. The rest of the team has been questionable. Aaron Jones and James White picks later were good, but the rest of them kind of sunk him a little bit. Not sunk him, he won 10 games. But that would be the only question for Team LBM was those 3 guys are as good as anybody in the league on any team. Back into the next matchup, we have the first ever appearance for the Bucs taking on the Horndogs. Horndogs' strength is Todd Gurley and Adam Thielen, 2 of the best players in the league, and then the number 1 and number 4 kicker/defense with Lutz in the Houston defense. Weaknesses is kind of wide receiver 3 with Gronk, who has not been healthy. He's the 70th receiver this year, and then flex is Matt Breida. Otherwise, you're like, Matt Breida, he's pretty good. He is. However, he's out this week, so it's questionable. Will it be Kerryon Johnson? Is he healthy? If so, that really doesn't become a problem. The Bucs strengths Drew Brees, number 2 quarterback. They got the Buccaneers this week. That could be big. Julio and Ertz at number 8, number 12 receiver, and then number 3 and 13 running backs are Gordon and Chubb. Weaknesses, Gordon injury goes down to Deion Lewis, who's not terrible, but definitely not Melvin Gordon, and then the number 21 defense in the Panthers. Final matchup, the Bruisers versus the Minotaurs, a rematch from last week. Bruisers have been 6-5 in the playoffs, 1-2 in the Super Bowl, and he was a champ in 2015. Strengths at number 7 quarterback, Cam Newton, number 11 running back, and Philip Lindsay, and the number 2 kicker/number 2 defense in Fairbairn and the Rams. Weaknesses is the number 40 flex, thanks to Allen Robinson, and then the Hunt release kind of forced him to be in the lineup. Otherwise, it'd be either Allen Robinson or Isaiah Crowell. And the Minotaurs making their first playoff appearance in their first year. The number 5 quarterback in Goff is a strength. Kamara is always dangerous, and 3 top 15 receivers in Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders. Weaknesses is flex. This will be strong enough when Eckler's in there, but when Gordon comes back, that drops, and he's got some weak special teams in Gano and Philly. Going through the records this week, Cardinals set the record, as kind of mentioned last week, with 90 points per week. Previous record was 77 by The Price is Right in 16. Also set a record with 1,172 points in a season. Previously, it was 1,004 by the Horndogs. That's the only teams to ever hit 1,000 points in a season. 1,004 was in a 14-game season, though, but it was less, no flex, no half-point scoring. Best winning percentage this season, the Cardinals had at 92%. Previous was 85% by a whole lot of teams. LBM set a record with 14 straight wins, and the best start to a year at 9-0. In Rodgers We Trust picks up a not a good record, an ignominious record. For most losses, started a year with 8, previous was 7. This year, I also picked up my 204th win on the year, and the Bruisers picked up their also 100th loss on the year. So notice that during the year, I didn't catch it at the time. Prize money so far, my teams both got $50 in the Legends and CFFL for the most points in the year. Didn't even need the points per week, but 1,172, I think 1080, something like that. And then the CFFL, since we got buys,
Chad and I each get 75, with what we put in, and then Cardinals and Horndogs, we each got $50 we put in for Legends League. We each get $50 back. And a reminder that in the consolation round, so those of you not making the playoffs, that's who's won it in the past. In the CFFL, as you notice there, we have some Legends Leaguers on there. 2 Brands Bullets, I believe, were the first winners of it. Mike Smallers were the 3rd. The Kongs were the 4th. If you can, try not to sign anybody in waivers. Once waivers go through and people made their claims, then feel free to go crazy and sign. Just not that many guys left to sign, so if you could please not do it. Not saying you can't, but please don't. That'd be great. And then we'll keep track of the consolation round as it goes too. So good luck to everyone this week. I'll be back next week, hopefully a little shorter. Sorry it went a little long. Next week will be all fantasy team for both teams, so it should be a shorter show. So thanks again for tuning in, and see you next week.